this good Christian woman showed me why men can't escape female nature. Yes, I have another riveting story for you to just show you exactly why men can't escape female nature. Not even in the church, especially the church. And definitely stick around to the end because it gets good. It gets real good. The end is the best part. The story begins back in 2017. I was 32. And then it extends into 2018. I was going through RCIA, which is, if you're not familiar with RCIA, it's this 6-month process, this conversion process for entering into the Catholic Church. And then also every Tuesday, I got connected with this Catholic group for adults that were in their 20s and 30s. So it was a chance for me to meet more people. So I went there with some of my Catholic friends that I had already made already and met more people in that circle and got plugged into the Catholic social pipeline, if you will. After it was over, each Tuesday it would run from 7 to 9, and then we would socialize for a bit, and then around 9:45 or 10 there would be a group that would go drive over to B-dubs and get some wings and socialize some more, hang out before calling it a night. And I did that consistently for a few months into 2018, right? I entered RCIA October 2017, and my confirmation was going to be that Easter, right? So April of 2018. And there was a woman in our group that I kind of liked her. She was cool. Her and her friends that were in that group, they were all roommates, and she was a nurse, and so were two of her other roommates. First red flag, right? We all know about nurses. At that moment in my life, I did not, but I would eventually. And that also ties to the end of the story, makes it good. So this group of Catholic women, they were throwing a St. Patrick's Day party at their house. And then, of course, I got an invite along with a few of my other friends. And we were all friends, just a lot of mutual friends. So we were just a big friend group. Showed up there. And when I saw the woman there that I liked, I could feel this tension between us. And she was acting kind of weird, right? And not long after, I started talking to one of her roommates, and she told me that she liked me. And I was like, wow, that's cool. I like her. And so at that point, the guessing game was over. And I approached her and said that I liked her too, and we proceeded to make out for the rest of the night, right? The rest of the party. It was a fun night. And then once the party was over, we exchanged numbers, and then we set up a time to hang out the next day. I came over the next day, and they had a finished basement, so we went down there. That's where their big TV was, and we put on Crazy Rich Asians, and of course, we started making out. But what she did while we were kissing, it was the first blatant red flag that I noticed. Right? Only it wasn't even 24 hours in. It didn't take long, right? So we're kissing. Crazy Rich Asians is playing in the background, and then she stops kissing me. And then she puts both of her hands on my face, and she grabs my face and pulls it towards her face. She looks me dead in the eyes and says, "You're going to take care of me now, okay?" So inside, paralysis. But outside, I was like, yeah, sure, for sure. and then she smiled and just, smashed my face into hers, and we went back to making out. And at that point, my eyes were, while she's making out with me, my eyes are open, and I was just like, holy shit. Like, what? All I could think about was, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? And from that moment forward, things definitely went on a swift decline. So, we went to mass together a few times because that's what you do when you're, dating a Catholic girl. And I was still trying to push through that, right? Hoping that things would improve. I mean, reason being, she was hot. I think that's what most men who get roped into a nightmare scenario with a woman say when they're asked how they got there. Well, she was hot, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking I found this hot Catholic chick, but before even getting confirmed into the church. So things they were looking up, even though she started showing her crazy bit by bit. At that point where I was at, it was like going to a Lamborghini dealership specifically looking for a black Huracan, and I had found one. And from a distance, it's captivating. It's exactly what I'm looking for. But then as I get closer, I notice that there are a few scratches on the paint. But it wasn't enough to deter me from test driving the car and potentially buying it, right? It's like, it'll buff out, can fix that, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. It's not noticeable. I made the mistake of ignoring that reality, and I invited her to my confirmation on Easter, thinking that it was just going to be a few scratches on the fender, right? The more that we hung out, the more that she revealed her deep insecurities from a previous relationship that she had, and also her insatiable need to have babies. In the Catholic world, when a woman hits the wall, she becomes obsessed with having babies as soon as possible. This woman that I was now entangled with, she was 26, 27. So her biological clock was starting to scream at her, right? And that is what is known as baby rabies, the insatiable need to have babies with the next guy they meet. Catholics don't move as fast as Mormons do when it comes to getting engaged and married, but sometimes it's pretty close. With this particular woman, I bet that if I proposed on my confirmation night, she'd have said yes. She became, dear God, sirens, freaking fire department. She became very clingy and wanted to see me all the time. We'd go to mass, and she'd want to hang out every Sunday afterwards. Every Sunday. And it was really taking a toll on me, on my alone time and my peace. And this was the point where I really started waking up and snapping back into reality. I was talking to my coworker one day about her, and when I mentioned her name, he asked me, he's like, wait a second, what's her last name? And then after I told him what her last name was, he knew exactly who I was talking about. And he told me that one of our mutual friends had dated her briefly, not too long ago, maybe like a year ago or something. And he brought her over to their house, and he and his wife could tell that she had some deep-seated issues. Needless to say, our mutual friend that did date her, he dropped her like a hot potato. Ironically, that dude, he met another Catholic woman who was also a nurse, dated and married her. I think they're still happily married and have a few kids, so good for him. But now is the crescendo moment when I decided that I needed to end things with this woman. After having that conversation with my coworker, I left work that at the end of that day, and I headed home. I put on some casual clothes. I had an office job, so I put on some normal clothes and then headed out to Trader Joe's to get some groceries. And I had forgot to bring my phone with me, which is an important detail, which I'll share here in a second. So it took me like 45 minutes to get done shopping for groceries. So I arrived home, put the groceries away, and it was a long day. And I'd bought a 6-pack of some brouhahas in my in my groceries. So I decided to have a moment for myself, right? I drew a bubble bath, I lit a candle, put on some Gregorian chant, cracked open that beer. And I just lied there in that tub for 30 minutes, right? Just picture the dude sitting smoking his roach in The Big Lebowski. That was me, except I just had a PBR. But now here's the crescendo moment. Okay, I got out of the tub after about 30 minutes, right? I just kind of just lied there for 30 minutes, and then I got out, dried off, got dressed, and I went to my room to grab my phone. And I think you know where I'm going with this. I see a bunch of text messages. I think there were like 6 of them in the span of that 2 hours that she had sent to me. And her texts, they went from 0 to 100. Now, her first text was just, "Hey, how you doing?" Or, "Hey, how are you?" Her last text was, "Oh my God, are we over?" And sandwiched between those 2 texts was a lot of crazy in between. So when I read, "Oh my God, are we over?" immediately I said out loud, "Yeah, we are. We are now." I texted her back. I just said I was just out grocery shopping and I forgot my phone. And she asked to see me and told me that she wanted to talk to me and blah, blah. And I said I had a long day. I wasn't available. I was just going to stay in. Okay. And then the next day was Tuesday. It was the day of the Catholic group thing. And she had texted me asking me she wanted to see me and talk. And I told her, "Look, I just need some space right now. I'm getting ready to go to the group." And she said that she was not going to go and she was just going to stay home. And so I get to the group, and 30 minutes in, guess who walks through the door and sits down? Her. Now, it's an open group, right? I have no claim to it. So she's free to go there. There's no problem with her being there. But when she says she's not going to go, and then she ends up going, and she gets there halfway through, it's kind of alarming and weird. It's not a good look. So, but yeah, afterwards, I had to B-dubs for the hangout afterwards, right? Eating some wings, I'm talking to some people, enjoying my time. And then I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turn around. Lo and behold, it's her. And yeah, so I turn around and she says immediately that we need to talk right now. I told her, we discussed this. I told you that I needed some space and you agreed to those terms. What are you doing? And she then demanded again that we needed to talk. We needed to go outside and talk. I put my foot down. I said no. And then she said, "If you don't come outside right now and talk to me, I'm going to cause a scene." Yeah. I called her bluff. And then I said again, no. And then I turned back around, thinking to myself, please don't do anything. Please don't do anything. Oh my God, please don't do anything. And thankfully, she was bluffing. And she ended up just walking away. And then she went and sat down with one of her roommates at another table. Just imagine if I would have done that to her, though, for a second. Just if the tables were turned. So, dude, some white knight would have just swooped in and been like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on? You need to leave her alone." Right? And then I'd get kicked out and be demonized because I'm a dude. right? Guys can't be psycho like that, but women can. Oh yeah. No one does shit if a woman's doing it to a man. She can cross all of his boundaries. She can do whatever she wants without fear of any consequences whatsoever. So now we're at the part that I said to stick around for, right? This is where it gets interesting. So the next day I texted her and I said, we need to meet up and talk, right? She knew what that meant, right? I had made plans I was going to break up with her, of course. So beforehand, I had prepared what I was going to say to her. I was going to keep it neutral and just say, right, that things weren't working out. It wasn't a good fit, right? Because it wasn't. That was the truth. I wasn't going to say anything disparaging, nothing negative about her. Just going to say, hey, this is not going to work. So I reached out to her. I coordinated a time. She agreed to it. She was going to meet me at a coffee shop after I got off. I, of course, intentionally went there early. I bought a cold drink just in case, right? And I picked a table that was right by the door. She shows up in her scrubs. I asked her if she wanted anything to drink. She said no. And then I asked, did you just get off work? And she replied, no, I'm heading to work. So she sits down, I deliver my opening statement, and I explain, I give my rationale for not wanting to continue a relationship with her. And of course, she immediately guilt trips me on doing this, breaking up with her right before her shift, even though she agreed to the day and time ahead of time, right? I gave her enough notice. There were other days and times up for grabs, but she decided on this day. So that guilt trip did not work on me. She decided on that day. She agreed to it. And yeah, I gave my statement. She did a little bit of desperate begging, but I just stuck to my guns, and I kept saying, this is not a good fit. This is not going to work out. And then eventually she just said, okay. And then she got up and she walked out the door. All in all, I thought to myself, man, I went pretty smoothly. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't a great experience, but it didn't go how I was expecting it to go. So I decided just to sit there for a little longer than I had intended, just kind of soak it in, right? To enjoy my drink and celebrate getting my freedom back. It was a win for me. But then, not 5 minutes later, I hear the front door swing open. Just burst open, bam, to the left of me. And it's her. She sits back down, just slams her hands on the table, leans in, and asks, why? I'm like, oh my God, here we go. So much for going smoothly, right? I stuck to the script that I had already stated to her twice, right? I didn't deviate. I just stuck to my guns. I kept telling her, this is just not a good fit. It's not working out, okay? It's not a good fit. There is an alignment. I felt like I was firing somebody. We're just there's no alignment. We've got another direction, you know. It was a very jarring moment because she was a wild card, obviously. But yeah, she stood up, which was also jarring. She's randomly stood up. And this is where I'd say the Hallmark programming came into play, because this was straight out of a Hallmark movie. I swear to God, dude. At least a movie like Gone to the Wind or whatever. So, but yeah, if you've seen a Hallmark movie, then you know what I'm talking about. I swear to God, all the women like her, they watch those movies, and that's where they get the blueprint for how relationships are supposed to look, right? And more of those unrealistic expectations that they put on men. So we had this mutual friend, and I won't say his real name, so let's just call him Steve. She abruptly stood up, and she was very emotional, standing over me, and she looked me dead in the eyes again. And with this over-the-top dramatic tone, She said, "And Steve said I'd break your heart." and then she furiously stormed out of the coffee shop, right? Like Scarlett O'Hara. But did it end there? No, of course not. Why would it end there? She then blew up my phone repeatedly, and I'd say after about the fourth or fifth time of calling me, she left a voicemail stating the following: "James, I have a present that I got for you for your confirmation, and you need to come get it." Of course, that was I knew that was just a last Hail Mary attempt to see me again. No pun intended. I did not respond to her at all, and that was that. And yeah, then I was finally free. I finally got my freedom. And the reason I told this story was to show you that it doesn't matter if you're a Christian, a Catholic, an Orthodox, a Protestant. It doesn't matter. You can't escape female nature. If anything, the church protects their nature and condemns yours. There's absolutely zero accountability for what they do, but you as a man, you need to get your shit together, right? They will preach from the pulpit that you men, hey, you need to get your shit together, right? And marry one of these princesses out here in the pews, right? They're just eager for a husband that, and be grateful for it, right? Happy wife, happy life. That whole script. Now, I was Catholic for 7 years. I traditional Catholic. I went to Latin Mass exclusively, learned ecclesiastical Latin, and have many, many experiences that led me to where I am now. An agnostic man that has no intention of ever getting married. And here are my final words. Heed my warning, men. Be careful out there. And don't date a nurse.